we have today with us a very esteemed guest of ours, Dr. Radhakrishnan Nair. Hello, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for joining us. I would just like to briefly introduce you to our audience. Friends, Dr. Radhakrishnan Nair has over 25 years of experience in several aspects of youth development. He's a professional trainer, researcher, and teacher on life skills. He's been the head of the Department of Life Skills Education and worked on various Government of India projects related to skill development, youth, and adolescent issues. He's adapted coaching and hands-on approaches in areas of life skills and career guidance. Presently, he is the Registrar, Central University of Kerala, and the founder president of Indian Association of Life Skills Education. Good evening, sir. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Good evening. I am equally happy to be with you people.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
So, we were just wondering that we would really like to know from you that life skills is such a buzzword nowadays,
Mm.
especially with the new National Education Policy 2020 coming in,
Yeah.
which emphasizes on experiential learning and life skills. And suddenly people are now focusing on life skills. So, how was the scenario
Yes.
back when you started? And how has it changed with respect to awareness on life skills today?
Yeah. Life skills, these days is getting huge attention, especially after the launching of the National Education Policy 2020. And even the Prime Minister and President of India is also talking about this subject. And they are all talking about capacity building, developing the potentialities of the youth to perform to their full potential and things like that. So these days, it is getting high impact, and you Alpha School has started the discussing on life skills in a very appropriate time. When I look back, something around 15 years back, when in fact we started this adolescent education program, when I was in Nehru Yuva Kendra Sangadan and then later in Rajiv Gandhi Institute of Youth Development. When in 2006, when I joined in Rajiv Gandhi Institute, when we are talking about adolescent health and development, that time you might be, I hope you people are at that time maybe studying in a school or
Yes, yes.
something like that. But at that
Absolutely right.
time, when I look back, I can tell you that that time, we are all talking about adolescent education, about the reproductive sexual health and things like that to teach our especially in empowering the girl child during that period when there is a lot of hues and cries about how to address this issue. And then after a lot of discussions, that we come up with the idea of introducing life skills as a way of reaching the youth, especially the girl child or the adolescent girls at that time. And that is how we in Rajiv Gandhi Institute or in Nehru Yuva Kendra, we started talking about the life skills education. And then after that, till this day, Nehru Yuva Kendra has a education and life skills development. Every district, they used to have the 40 days training program, and then 7 days training program, things like that. A lot of activities are happening, but that is largely focusing on the out of school children at that time. But now in the schools also it is happening. Then in CBSE stream they have started life skills education. UNFPA also have given thrust to life skills education at that time. And Rajiv Gandhi Institute started their PG program in life skills. And then Delhi School of Education, Department of Education in Delhi, government have a very big program on life skills. Yuva, they call it as Yuva. Even now it is running, but in a different format it is happening. And several other, departments of school education started. But if you look at it that time, even now, it is not taken a formal shape, or it has not universally accepted across the country or universally implemented across the country. It is happening in certain patches, or you can call it, certain area. It is happening not in a uniform way. And CBSE, of course, they have syllabus for teaching, but they are not taking it very seriously. That is the previous, and even now still it is the scenario as per the life skills education in the country is concerned. Even though we are talking a lot, it is not happening. That is the scenario at this time.
Great. Thank you so much for setting that context. It helps all of us to know that how the journey of life skills has been in this country. But for most of us, the question still remains because we've had a majority of STEM or academic importance given in our lives. What is the use of life skills in our daily lives?
If you ask me what is the problem of COVID these days, why we have the problem of pandemic of COVID, we are, in this, why we have this COVID as a huge pandemic. Even American president is in, very serious condition because of the COVID. The initial days he is not tired. He is told that I want to wear a mask. And now he, even with the 10 mask, he is, unprotected. That is the situation now. So why the situation now? Because, there is not, we are not having proper mechanism to address that. We are not having a proper immunization to address the problem of COVID. That is why the entire world is, suffering at present. That is what I would say. If you ask me what is the requirement of life skills, that is what I have. My answer is that, you look at the youth population across, not only in our country, in across the globe. You take the various issues our youth population is facing. I am not only talking about the unemployment it is now we are facing in the country. It is not only unemployment, it is the whole lot about this drug addiction or suicides or depression or mental health issues, well-being problems. You take any of the issues which our youth population is facing at present is largely because our youth population or our adolescent population is not in a position to adjust themselves to the changes which is happening in their society. There is a lot of changes happening in the society. There is a lot of problems they are facing day to day. Every day they are facing different type of problem they are facing. So how they will adjust to this problem if they have enough tools with them? If they are not having enough resources with them, how they will adjust to these problems? In your first question, people are telling that academic knowledge never helped them in addressing their problem in their day-to-day life, only because the skills which they acquire in your day-to-day life or the situations, supporting the situations, they are adjusting and moving forward. So this is the problem which we are facing. That is the importance of life skills, because even though you have the knowledge with you, if you do not have adequate skills with you, if you are not equipped yourselves to use that skill, you use that knowledge according to requirement of the time, the knowledge become immaterial. That is what happened. That is what is the importance of life skills in the present day situation.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that has set a very good context, especially with the pandemic, that if we are not able to apply our knowledge, if we don't know how to do that, then that becomes a major concern. So there are, like, say, specific issues with, say, self-esteem or bullying or peer pressure. So how can life skill development help in facing or overcoming these kind of challenges, sir?
See, when somebody is talking about the life skills, it is basically we have to understand what is life skills, and then only you can jump into self-esteem. How that is self-esteem, you are going to address that self-esteem in that, basically. Now, what basically is life skills? What we are talking about, it is basically something, it is as I told you, there is every day we have a new challenge, we have a new problem and we have to face that problem. It is not only for youth or adolescent, even me at my age, I am now become a senior citizen, or in your age, anybody's age, it's we have several challenges in our society. We are facing in a lot of challenges, and we have to face this challenge. And to face this challenge, you should have a lot of knowledge, a lot of skills, and a lot of attitude or values you should have. Then only you can. But this knowledge, skill, or attitude again is not going to help you unless you know or you have the ability or capacity to translate or transform your knowledge, your attitude, your values into a positive behavior so that you can face the challenges which is coming in your day-to-day life. And when you look at that, the most important skill that you should have is self-awareness. What is self-awareness after all? Self-awareness is nothing but you should understand you. You have to know whom you are, what you are, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are the threats or challenges you are facing, what are the opportunities before you. So, unless you are not aware about you cannot face anything. All your other skills become immaterial if you are not aware about yourself. So that is the core thing. And self-esteem is only one part of the self-awareness. If you take the dimensions of self-awareness, there are numerous dimensions from self-concept to self-talk to self-realization to self-motivation, self-confidence, then your uniqueness, and then self-esteem, self-worth. There are so many dimensions in self-awareness is there. Once you know these various dimensions and how it is impact on you, then only your knowledge about your self-esteem becomes important. Then what is self-esteem? What is self-esteem? When we talk about what is self-esteem? Self-esteem is something it about your personal judgment of you. You are judging you. That is self-awareness, self-esteem. It is your judgment about you. It is your self-evaluation, where you stand. Self-awareness, this is something which you are knowing about you, your judgment about you, and what are the various things which is happening around you, your value system, your personality, and in a particular situation where you are standing, when you are in a crowd, what you are, see, when you look at that way, self-esteem has a lot of connotations which you have to make in your day-to-day life. And that self-esteem drives you. That self-esteem is drives you to take decisions so that you can move forward. If you have a high self-esteem, you are always having a lot of confidence in you. If you are not having that high self-esteem, then you always feel inferior before other people. You can't perform in other, you can't even talk to other people. You will become an introvert. You go in your, you become inside your shell. You cannot come out from you. And that is why when the bullying happens, yeah, you might have, when you interact with your students or your group, you might have seen that to which group of people normally bullying happens. Bullying happens to those group of people who are a bit shy, who are little bit introvert, who are not coming forward, running away from the situations. Those type of people, always our other people should have the habit of, bullying them. They may call them names, they may call their father's name, or something or other they will do, and they will create all sort of problem. That is the issue, is basically self-esteem. That child does not have adequate knowledge about him. He don't know where he stands, what is his problem, he don't know, what is his strength, he don't know. So that is why self-esteem becomes important in the day-to-day life of a child. That is what is happening in peer pressure also. Now, in peer pressure, I won't say that it is not only self-esteem that is important. There are so many other things also comes in peer pressure. It is not like bullying. In self-esteem and bullying and self-esteem and peer pressure, you have to look it in a different way. For example, I tell you, when you go to a public school where people are majority of from various same, almost same socio-economic background, they are from high socio-economic background, Everybody are proud or their mother or their family, about their car, about their income, about the big size of their house, the way they are going to Switzerland or this and that. Almost everybody is having that. But again, there is a peer pressure happens in those groups. Also, peer pressure happens, and that may be for various other reasons. And in that various other reasons, when the peer pressure happens, there the children should have the assertiveness. If a boy or a girl is assertive, not aggressive, underline the word assertive. If the boy or girl is assertive, then they won't, fall prey to peer pressure. They know where they are. Again, I will tell you, there more than self-esteem, the student should know about their self-concept. There is the self-concept is the personality of that particular person. They know what they are, understanding self, not understanding self-esteem, understanding self, understanding the proper strength of that person, where they stand in that particular situation, from where they are coming, if something they do, what their parent will think of, what their in-laws will think of, or what their teacher will think of. If that kind of feelings come in that child that particular point of time, then that child may have the tendency to be assertive, and they may say an effective no to the person who is going to do a kind of a pressure on that person for doing something specific. So that is why peer pressure or the reasons for bullying or the reasons of peer pressure, you have to segregate both, but it has its importance of awareness, self-awareness. That is very important while we address the issue of bullying, or while you address the issue of peer pressure. Yeah.
Great. I think that was a very solid way of stating that whatever happens, whatever challenges we are facing, at the base of it, we should know our own self.
Yeah.
Self-awareness is very, very critical.
Yes.
So, sir, many times we get this question, or that how life skills can help improve either academic performance or professional performance. Maybe I think a corollary can come from what you just stated.
See, it's a very big question. An answer in one or two sentences is very difficult. Now, I'm a person who has guided a PhD thesis on impact of life skills on study skills and academic performance. And the study has been conducted in a public school and in another school, in a rural setting and in urban setting. In both the places it has been conducted, and the result was tremendous. It is a direct intervention of life skills done among the 9th class students. It's a direct intervention of life skills training given. It is a kind of a, what do you call, a training which is given to the teachers, and the teachers train the students in life skills, and then we see how their study skills and academic performance are improving. As I told you earlier in the first question, I told you, the pandemic and the problem of immunization. And normally I used to say life skills as a social immunization process, which I used to tell wherever I go. When I talk to people, I consider life skill as a social immunization thing. It gives you immunity to so many things. And one especially is your study skills, improving your study skills. At this point, I will tell you, when we talk about the study skills, what are the study skills which we are talking about? There are so many study skills. When we normally, if you ask our students, somebody may say that, what is a study skill? They may say that reading or writing or memorizing, rote learning. And all our talents we are assessing on the basis of how many marks you scored. That is how we assess the talent of your daughter or your son. When they scored mark, you ask what is your score. If they are not 100 out of 100, then you are never happy. and you never bother with what is their other talent or anything. You never bother about it. When I used to talk about life skills to the children, I always tell my students or my audience that, I have never been a first class student in my career. In my studenthood in school or college or university, I am never a first class student. See, I never scored first class in my life. That is my, that is what I used to tell them. Because first class is, in our time or even now, first class is being treated on the basis of your mark, not on the basis of your quality or your competency. You are assessing the summative ability, not the formative. Your evaluation is only summative, not formative. That is the core problem which we are facing. So in that angle, if you ask me what are the study skills, study skills are numerous study skills. One is association. The ability of the student to connect various things together. For example, if you give black, how he associate black to other situation, or orange, how we associate orange. Connecting from various situations, that is association, that is one of the study skills. Another one is concentration, how you can concentrate, how much you can concentrate on a particular thing. And then there is the comprehension. Another study skill is comprehension. What is your ability to comprehend when I am now talking to you? How much you are comprehending when I am talking? That depends upon your skill, your ability to learn fast. Comprehension, that is another study skill. Yet another study skill is consultation with your teacher. How many students consulting with their teacher? How many students consult? You may be a teacher. How many students comes to you and consult? It's in fact a very important study skill which we have to tell our student, consulting the teacher. And then reading, of course, not reading the book, textbook which have been prescribed to the student. That anybody have to do that. Anyway, at the end of the day, you have to read your textbook. This is not that reading which I am talking. Reading whatever comes before her or she get. That is the thing. And then about the homework. It is yet another study skill, homework. Your learning motivation, how much you are motivated to learn. It is only when the teacher take a stick, then you study, or you study by yourself. You are self-motivated to study. It is another study skills which we are talking about. Then of course, memorizing is another study skill. You have to memorize certain things, otherwise at the end of the day, you will be a failure also. And then preparation for examination. You have to prepare for exam, another skill. Taking notes is another skill. Your teacher might be giving note, but at every time the teacher may not be giving note, but teacher may be talking. When teacher writes something on the board, and when teacher talks, without preparing, that is the time you will be getting, actual knowledge or wisdom of a teacher comes in automatically. When they are not referring, they will be telling from their experience. At that time, the student should take that points. That points you will never get anywhere. You won't get any reference. You Google, you whatever you do, you won't get when a teacher speaks from their experience. That is your ability to take notes. If you look at that way, time management, yet another important study skill. So if you look at that way, there are numerous study skills. And how these study skills are improved with life skills. If you are training our children in life skills, our experience is that all these study skills will automatically improve. If you take anything, because I am telling from my experience, from my research study, I very, confidently I can tell. Two of my research scholars studies on life skills, impact of life skill. Only one is direct intervention of life skills, another one is indirect intervention. That is community service learning and how it is impacting on life skills. Both the studies were conducted in the schools only. So like this, if you give you the training in 10 core skills to the children, automatically it will impact upon the study skills of the child. And then when it has an impact on the study skills, automatically it impact on the academic performance of the children. So what is the academic performance? How you assess the academic performance of the child when it comes to this the question of the result of my student? We struggled, we googled, we discussed with various educations the country how you define academic performance. We all talk about academic. You may say that academic performance means 100 out of 100. Otherwise, what is the academic performance? If you are not earning 100 marks, your academic performance is very bad. That is what we are told. That is what we are trained. So for us, academic performance means 100 out of 100. So how is that true? As a life skill educationist, I cannot say that 100 out of 100 is not your real academic performance. Then we again thought, then we try to categorize it. Then we say that mark, of course, the first criteria. And second is the learning behavior. What is your behavior? How you are learning? Are you simply memorizing, or you are experiential learning, or you have some other way of learning things, or how much is your ability to learn, your learning behavior? That was the second thing we have taken. And the third one, we assess the self-confidence of the person. How much that person become self-confident. If you are self-confident, then you need not look back. You can look only always forward. So how much self-confident that boy or girl is becoming. And lastly, we assess the presentation skills of that child. How they are presenting before other people, how they are conducting themselves. I use the word, how they are conducting themselves, how they are presenting before the other person. So we took these four categorization: the marks, the learning behavior, self-confidence, and presentation skills as the academic performance of the child. So life skills leading to study skills development, and this enhances the academic performance of the child. And in the mark, I will tell you, there is 10% increase in the scoring of mark of the, even the least performed child has got an advantage of 10% hike in their mark. And of course, I need not say how they change the learning behavior. For that, we have a lot of, experience sharing by their parents, their teachers, how the child transforms, how their behavior change, how the way they are talking to their parents, when the parents tell them to study, and things like that, and the confidence in them, their presentations, everything. So that is what I told you. Life skills transforms the child. And if you want to connect it, I will again tell you, if you categorize life skills into three, like the social skills, thinking skills, and the coping skills. Your social skills helps your heart, and your thinking skill helps your head, and your coping skill helps your health. And these three helps in the study skills and academic performance of the child. And that is how we connect it, and that is how things are changing in the life of a child.
I think that was an amazing revelation to all of us sitting here, not just students. We have teachers, we have parents, we have young professionals. And whatever you said, we could easily relate it to all stages in our life. And especially the last point, which you said, how life skills help the heart, the head, and the health. I think that's tremendous. I think what you shared about how people learn from your experience, I think we saw a live demo of that just now. I think when we Google life skills actually nowadays, especially after this great start to this learning, people find so many answers to life skills. But I think just like to ask the lovely audience sitting here today, wouldn't you like to know if there is like a recommended list, like which that these are the life skills which are recommended? Would you like to know that? You can just put your answers in the chat box. Wouldn't it be great if there was a list that you knew about, that these are the life skills that are recommended? Can we have your comments in the chat box? Yes, we are getting yes. Yes, and way to know where we stand. Thank you so much, Shivani, for that question. We are just going to address that in today's session. Yes, thank you. Everybody is saying that yes, they would like to know. Sharbari, can we show them?
So before I just brief what is there in the screen, let me just sum up what sir has just said, that no, we can acquire a lot of knowledge. Our curriculum is like that we give knowledge to our children. But life skills are something which enables the child or enables an individual to apply that in their day-to-day life. Sometimes we just have the bookish knowledge and we are not able to apply in our daily life. Life skills enables us, builds capacity. So if we have to talk about the 10 core life skills of WHO, the mother skills sir has already said about self-awareness. So we have self-awareness and empathy in mother skills. In survival skills, we have interpersonal relationship and communication, which enables any individual to socialize. As sir has already said, your social skills, negotiating skills, decision making and problem solving, coping skills, how we are going to cope with the different situations which come up. These are coping with stress and coping with emotion. And last but not the least are the thinking skills, the critical thinking and the creative thinking skills. Now the big question which comes up, I think someone has already put in the chat box also. I would like to put across the same question to Dr. Nair. How we can assess, is there any way that we can measure our life skills? If we say there are so many life skills, 10 core life skills, is there any way we can find out what is our level of life skills?
Definitely, there are so many ways for assessing your life skills. You know, when we take the WHO definition of life skills, you have already shown the 10 core life skills. And when I say 10 life skills, it is 10 core life skills. And if you look at nowadays, various discussions which are happening across the country or across the globe, they normally add so many new skills like self-confidence. They add as a separate life skill, or a self-esteem. They add somebody talk self-esteem, they add as a life skill, or motivation they add as a life skill, goal setting they add as a life skills. Like that, people used to add so many things into it. But if you again discuss and categorize, you can say that the 10 core life skills, that is the real core. Other things you can fit into other skills. For example, whatever self comes in, you can put it into self-awareness. Then only it will become a totality when you take together. Or goal setting or time management, when you take as a life skills, it will go with your decision making. Your goal setting and time management all go with your decision making skills, or things like that. Or if you are talking about group work, team building, all these things go in your interpersonal relationship, and like that. So these 10 core skills are there that we can assess. In fact, for that, various scales are available across. Even we have in Rajiv Gandhi Institute, we have developed a assessment scale. It is nothing but certain items which we have developed. And if you answer those items, in the items there are negative and positive items are there. When you answer it and then you take its mean value, then you know where you stand. For example, if your self-awareness is okay, then you can take that particular items and you assess where you stand. You can understand easily, you can understand. Like that, all the 10 core skills you can evaluate yourself and you can understand. But I will tell you, first time you please don't yourself. It is like you will be treating your COVID yourself. If you have a fever, then you go and take paracetamol and you sleep at your home, and your fever will be over, but all other thing will be in you. Then you will be in a critical condition, then only you will go to the hospital. So don't take this assessment by yourself for the first time. That you do with an expert or a person who know how to evaluate yourself. Then they will help you and they will help you evaluate you. And then after every 6 months, you can do it. For example, I will tell you, there is a technique we used to do in our training program called SWOT. Strength, weakness, opportunities, and challenges. That is what we used to call. This is one good test that every 6 months we can do. If you do that, you know where you are standing, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. First do it with an expert, or after that you do with one of your very close friend or your very close family people, not with the so-called friends. You know, they will cheat you. For example, they may tell that you are so good, you have a lot of knowledge, you have a lot of presentation skills, you have blah 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 and all, but actually you may not. That may not be the real you. You know, when you assess yourself, you understand that there is a real you, there is an ideal you, there is a social you, there is a perceived you, there are so many you in you. Understand that. Okay. If you want your so many you in you, first you do it with an expert, with a person who know the art. After that, you do by yourself. You can understand where you stand. So what I want to convey to you is that assessing is not a problem. Standardized skill tests are available, or even smaller version of scales are also available. Mysore University developed a smaller version of a scale, and I think NIMHANS also have a version of a scale with them. So various scales are available. With the help of that, you can assess even self-esteem. There are beautiful scales available for self-esteem. You can do by yourself, because all the manual, everything is available online free. You can do it. But don't carry it away with all those things which you are knowing by yourself. That may not be true, because when you do your assessment, it is not you are really doing accurately. You may be giving many of the time, you put your ideal self you want. What you want to be, you reflect in your answer. What you want to be, you reflect in your answer. Then when I assess you, I think that is the real you. That is the real you. No, it is not. For that, what is required is you assess yourself, and you ask your friend also assess you. You ask your friend to give you 2 or 3 good thing in you and bad thing in you, or certain things that person feels that you have to change for you to be a good person. So that is a good exercise you can do. You can ask your teacher. When I say your teacher, the teacher you have seen you only once, you don't ask them. They don't understand you pretty well. The teacher who may be a mentor of you or who is following you regularly, you can ask them, teacher, can you tell me what is the 2 good point in me and what are the 2 things you want me to change?
Right.
You don't ask a bad thing. There is nothing bad in any person. We can say that what are the 2 things which you want me to change in me? You can ask that your good friend, you can ask it your parents, you can ask your brother or sister or your uncle, anybody who know you pretty well. You ask it and then you compare where you stand. Then you know what is real you and what actually you. Okay, so that way, once you get a picture of yourself, and then it will be easy for you to change. You can do it every 6 months. I will tell you, it will make a lot of change in you. And you don't try to reduce your weakness. I will tell you. That may be a failure, or then you may feel that, oh my God, I am a failure. So what I suggest to you, you try to develop your strength.
Right.
You identify your strong points and work on your strong points again and again. Automatically your negatives will come down. Or whenever, if you, okay, sometimes you may know, I don't want to be like that, I want to change it. Even by developing my strength, I am unable to change it. Okay, then you take the help of a good friend or your teacher or somebody who can help you. Again, I will caution you, something which matters or something which affects your personal things or something which is a kind of a having a psychological or a mental well-being or something like that, then you have to go to an expert on it. You don't bother approaching a counselor in your school. Almost nowadays many schools have a counselor. People are thinking that going to counselor is bad. That is what the feeling. Many of the children are feeling that, oh, that is somewhere the people are going, mentally ill people are going to the counselor. No, it is not like that. If you look at that, everybody has a mental problem, so you don't think like that. So you have to, if you have some critical thing to be discussed, you discuss. That is the way you can solve your problem. But I will come back to your question that whether I can evaluate myself. Definitely you can evaluate yourself. If you only want to assess your self, then it is better. Can you do SWOT analysis, or you can do the Johari window exercise? You can do that, will help you understand where you stand. That way you can develop. But if you want to understand about your interpersonal skills or your empathy or your thinking skills, your coping skills, your emotional well-being or your stress level and all, there are scales available for that. You can use it and you can assess it. But again I will caution you, don't treat yourself. Okay. Right.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nair, because you have given us a very good thrown a very good light on these perspectives that no, feedback is the breakfast of champions. So we should be open to feedbacks if we have to improve ourselves. And the next very obvious question, and we have received a lot of questions on that, whether we can improve, whether life skills level changes with experience, age, and time, even if we don't put a very concentrated approach to improve or put some extra effort on that.
That need not be. If you grow also, it does not mean that you should have life skills. With the growth, there is no guarantee that your life skill also grows. That is, in life skills, there is a theory called, development theory. In life skills, there is a adolescent development or lifespan development is there, when from the childhood to toddlerhood to, growing adolescent span, things like that. It does not mean that you are, life skill development means, developing yourself, your capacities, your inner strength. It is not your physical body. It is not about your body image, which we are talking about. It's about self. That if I quote our Amartya Sen, it will be the agency in you, your inner capacity, your head and your mind. You take together. The development of that, what I am talking about. When you look at that way, it is very important that you have to, take control yourself and move forward. That is what I want to tell you at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there any way by which any individual can improve their life skills? Any particular way or any different ways?
There are so many ways. First, you should know what are your skills, where you stand in. Okay. But see, the skill is not something not in you. It is there. Everybody has all the 10 core skills, but level is different at a varying level. And another problem is that we don't know. First thing, we don't know what are the skills I have, which level I have that skill, and how can I improve upon that. If you give some basic tips to the people, they can easily grab it and they can move forward. Where they stand and how can they move forward. The best thing is experiential learning. By practice, by doing, you can do it. You need not, attend a 7-day or a 10-day training program in life skills to develop your skills. I don't advocate for everybody. But At the same time, you should know about it. That is what I am telling. In one of our research, we have taken community service learning as a methodology to see how life skills are developing in them. I will tell you, the first assessment and second assessment shows something around a 3-degree change is there. Because the first they don't know how to do a group work, how to form, where there is a problem in the society, how to address it. And later when they started going to the field, they started sitting together, discussing, they started identifying the problem, they used their own critical and creative thinking ability to have a solution to the problem, how to mobilize the people in the locality to clean the market. The children go on and clean the market, not by them. They took the entire villages to clean the market. See, there automatically the skill is being changed or getting developed in the child. So that is, but again I will tell you, it is a purposeful intervention done by a teacher. There is a focus is there, so they guided the children accordingly. So with I will tell you, I put it like this, with a little bit of effort from the people, maybe the teachers or the parents or the community, guide the children, give them a focus, give them an opportunity, then automatically the skills we can develop in the child. I will add one word here, engaging the children.
Right.
By engaging the children, you can develop the talents, skills and talents in the children. They are not knowing that their critical thinking ability is growing in them, or there is emotional well-being happening in them. For example, when they go to a village, when they saw a family having utter poverty, and the children in the family is not unable to go to the school because there is no textbook or notebook or a one-time food for them to go. And the children from the public school is going there and they are looking at it. Initially, they have the problem of approaching them because they may not be clean, chidiness, all these problems are there. But when they started going with the motivation of the teacher, then they sit with them, they talk with them. Next day, they come with their material to help them. There is a kind of empathy working in the child. Nobody given them a lesson on empathy, remember. Nobody given them a lesson on empathy. They are not giving training in empathy, but the empathy which is innate in the child automatically getting sharpened and the child is getting acting at that point of time. So this is engaging the child so that you can develop the life skills of the people. And that can happen, I will tell you, it is not only in the school children, it can be in the school, high schools or in the colleges, even people like me in the adult situation also. When an opportunity comes in, the innate skills in us can be sharpened and improved further. So that is possible. It can happen when an opportunity gives. You need not always give a training in life skills for that. But it does not mean that you don't want life skills trainers. It is absolutely required because India is such a vast nation, and you have to go with various kinds of tools to reach this massive population. Otherwise, you may not be reaching them.
Right.
Things which you have to look into it.
Thank you. And if we have to ask you that amongst those 10 core life skills, are there any crucial ones which every person need to have?
Can you Sarbari, can you elaborate a bit further?
So if I don't know anything about life skills, I came across this 10 core life skills. Now I'm wondering that yeah, I may be having all the life skills, but is there anything which I should have for sure? Means if I don't have those life skills, I may have some troubles in handling my day-to-day situations. So are there any crucial life skills that each and every individual should possess?
If you ask me that, I will tell you, for a successful living, if you want to have a successful living and if you if you want to utilize your full potential in your work situation, in your family situation, in your social situation, I will tell you all the 10 core life skills are crucial. It is, I won't say important. I am not using the word important. I will use the word crucial. All the 10 things are very, very crucial.
Right.
For example, you even in I will come to your first answer about your knowledge, academic knowledge. That is what we talk about even in the you take our new education policy. They
Right.
are telling, your cognitive capacities alone are not going to lead anywhere. That is what your thinking skills or your knowledge part. If you want to live a successful life, then your social capital, that is what we are talking about, the human development. Your social capital, your attitude, your values, and your skills are very, very important. And if you want to have this, your social capital developed, your attitude changed, and your values, if you want to apply your values properly, then you should have all the 10 core life skills. All the 10 core life skills are very crucial, and we have to work for, developing that at least in our younger generation. That is
Right.
what is the requirement of the time.
Thank you, sir. And the next one question before we move on to the chat questions. Sir, if means we have received questions like this. So if I have to sum up and ask you, what can be the visible changes if anyone has undergone any life skill development programs? So how can we see or how can we evaluate from outside that there are some changes or they have improved in their life skills?
You are seeing me now.
Yes.
I will tell you another thing. Have you seen a cat? If the cat fall from the 10th floor, what will happen to it? Will it break it back? If a cat fall from the 10th floor building, will it break it back? Hmm? It will stand in its four leg. It will fall in its four leg only. It will not break it back. Unless you are throwing it. If you are jumping it, even if you throw also, that will struggle and fall in four leg. That is what if a person have proper life skills, he will face any challenge and stand out. In the
Right.
crowd, you can see a person who have that appropriate skills in him or her. That is what is the advantage of life skills. If you are having in a person, he never bother about what the other person tell about him or her. They don't care what Sarbari is telling or what Rama is telling or what other people are telling. They don't care. They have their own smooth way of going. They don't bother about other people. It does not mean that they are not bothered. They are very much watchful of other people, but at the same time they are very composed and they conduct themselves in a very appropriate manner. If you try to trouble them also, normally they won't make any issue. They may even pretend themselves as very angry, but the inner they may not be angry. They may be showing that they are angry. There are various ways of that to see a visible change in a person. It is if you are properly trained. It is not a training. We used to say internalizing.
Right.
Life skill is something you have to internalize. Only once you internalize, it is an automatic process. You can, if you 10 days trained or 21 days trained also, if you are not internalized those skills, then there is no meaning. You have to internalize it and then automatically it will change. It will happen. When you act on a particular situation, it helps you. You may not be knowing that that is helping you. It is an automatic process. It will come and it will help you in overcome that particular situation. That is the beauty of life skills.
Thank you. I think this cat example which you have given, no, it has very simple, but everyone can understand how it is, no, turning back to situations. We have few more questions. I'll just go through it, which we have received. Uh, there is some teacher who has asked this question, that how life skill helped me in my teaching learning process.
Teaching learning process. A teacher who is trained in life skills never teach. They will stop teaching.
Right.
A teacher who is trained in life skills stop teaching, and they will start the learning along with the students. And they will, enable the children to unleash their learning. They will help the children to unlearn what they have learned, and then they will start learning along with the children. That is what the teacher do when they are trained in life skills. They will stop teaching. I will tell you, they stop teaching, and then they will take students along with them. Now, I always wonder why we need to teach our children, especially nowadays, when all the knowledge is in their iPad, especially when after this COVID, everybody is on their phones only. When the teacher is teaching through online, the children are answering question not by listening to the teacher, by Googling the answer, they are telling the answer.
Exactly.
So that is what is happening. So see, now the knowledge is in the fingertip of the child. So you need not teach them at all, but you give them opportunity to learn, to experiment, to practice, so they will be internalizing it very, 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 very easily. And that is, getting affecting their life also easily. So it is, but I will tell you, the core thing is that our teachers should be trained in life skills. That is what is required. The teachers should be trained in life skills and experiential learning. In these two things, we have to train the teachers, especially in our new education policy. The government has given that, they have given 2-3 chapters. They are talking about teacher education and things like that. And they are talking about, remodeling the teacher education curriculum, and introducing experiential learning and things like that. Once it happens, the teaching process also becomes very interesting, and it will enable the teachers to learn along with the children.
Okay, thank you, sir. One more question is there. Someone is asking how to fine tune the work-life balance. What life skills can we taught to
balance? When you are good in life skills, automatically your work and life will become balanced. You will know where to work and what to work and where to stop and when to work. See, a person with a good balance in their work life, they, even at home also, they never bother about their work. When they are in their office, they never bother about their home. When they see, they know where to start, when to, they know their targets. Nowadays, even in government also, we are having target. Earlier, we never have a target. Now we are also given target. You finish this, finish that. I need not to tell about your corporate sector, what is the situation. It is always you are running daily target. So while those targets are there also, what is the advantage of life skill is that life skills get you organized properly. Why we are unable to, balance ourselves is that we are not organized. So if you are organized properly, if you are assessing, you have a 24 hours in your daily kitty, and that 24-hour, how you are effectively utilized for what, how many hours for this, how many hours for that. And if you are organized properly, it is very easy for you to conduct yourself, and you can make a proper way of balancing also. Even I have I can give you 100 of examples. We have experimented life skills in corporate sector also. In certain companies, we have conducted this training program and see how it is affecting the productivity of the employees. And I will tell you, it work better than giving an extra, increment for them. When you use life skills training with the people and give them a lot of motivation, how to, self-motivation and other things in them, it is better than giving monetary benefits to the people. So it is not that difficult. But again, I will tell you it. When I say, you people think that, okay, I will go for a life skills training tomorrow, and I will do all these things. It is not attending the training program. The core is how you are internalizing. So if it is, if you are internalized and if you are practicing it only, all these are going to be happening.
Okay, I think these questions we have received. A few questions we are already receiving from the chat.
Yeah, so till I would request people on the chat here that if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat box. We will take your questions. And meanwhile, I would like to, now that we have heard so much from Dr. Nair, there is one question that probably we would like to know from you. What is your opinion? When would you like to get evaluated, or when would you like to learn these life skills? Now, when there is no problem, or later when a problem arises? Why don't we have another poll for it? I'll repeat the question. When do you think is an ideal time to know about life skills? When do you think we should start life skills education? The question is on your screens. Could we have your answers, please? Okay, we have got 50% of people who have already voted. We'll wait for 10 seconds more. When do you think we should start life skills education? Now or later? Now when there's no problem, or later after the problem arises? All right, great. Thank you so much for your responses. I'm sharing the results on your screen. That is great. Thank you so much for sharing that the right time to start life skills education is now. We also have got some questions to us on the chat. One of them is there any technique or tool to practice life skills in routine life and monitor the progress of the child?
You are asking me, Rama?
Yes, I'm asking you, sir.
See, for child, you cannot teach all these life skills. You know? It's a kind of a play-way method that we are using. And even for early childhood, that is, when the child is at the age 3, then they are going to a nursery or a kindergarten. There itself, the type of tools which is the play kits which we are giving to the child is focusing on understanding their self, how they are connected with a particular image, or how they are going to connect that particular image with what is happening in their family, what is happening in their friends, among their group of children, things like that. It is an age appropriate method that we have to adopt. It is not that life skills teaching or life skills training we can introduce at the high school level or +2 or at higher secondary, things like that. No. This can be introduced at the kindergarten level onwards, you can introduce it. And for this also, there are child appropriate materials available. And I will tell you forever, the best classic method for all these things is Finland. Finland, the early childhood education in Finland is something very, very interesting, where there is not teaching at all, even up to the upper primary level, and there is no teaching. Their children are playing, and through the playing they are learning. They are learning literacy, they are numeracy, all the whatever new education policy is talking about foundational numeracy and literacy, foundational literacy and numeracy, which we are talking, and the government is thinking about establishing a mission for that foundational numeracy. I sometimes feel very funny about all this thing, but our nation's situation is like that. You have to again start a mission to teach the 5th standard student to count from 1 to 100. or to do simple arithmetic or simple geometry or simple algebra. They don't know. Again, we have to have a mission to teach them. But in certain countries, they are not teaching, but students are learning. The children are learning by themselves. So that is how using child appropriate or age appropriate tools and mechanism that they are doing all these things. The techniques are available. You need not reinvent the wheel again. You have to go develop a module, come curriculum. No, you need not waste your time. Curriculum is available. You need not have a standalone methodology also. You need not have a standalone. There are so many things available. You need to contextualize. I won't say that you take the Finland model and implement it here. It's not possible. You have to contextualize it according to Maharashtra situation or Mumbai situation or Delhi situation or Kerala situation. You contextualize it and you do it. That is what I used to tell all the life skills trainers. When you have a model before you, you need not reinvent the whole wheel. You take that model, contextualize according to your situation and you use it. So in that way, we have curricula available for life skill training or life skill education for the toddlers also in our country, and you can use it.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think it has been wonderful. That almost brings us to the end of our webinar today. We'll be sharing with you how you can follow simple steps to get your certificate of life skills awareness, and we'll be telling about our programs in a bit. But before that, I would like to thank you, Dr. Nair, so much for spending your valuable time with us today on a Sunday evening. We are so grateful for you for sharing your knowledge and your experience and such good examples. I mean, I don't think either of us can ever forget the cat example, that tomorrow if anybody asks us what is the outcome, how can we see? And secondly, the 3H, heart, head, and health. It has been such a great experience to listen to you. We are so grateful, sir. I would request you to please accept this small virtual memento from us as a token of our gratitude. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Sarbari, thank you, Rama, and thank you, our other.
Thank you very much for sharing your insights.
Thank you, everybody, and I wish you all the very best. And I also enjoyed talking to you people, and do good work and see that, you know, life skills is being promoted in the country in a whatever way it is possible for you. Okay?
Yes.